You know, they say that you can't be what you don't see, or it's hard to be what you don't see. Can I ask you to make it your superpower to become what you don't see? Because somebody has to go first.
So tonight we're very, very excited to be joined by Kathrina Lowe. Kathrina is an absolute trailblazer, being the first Asian Australian woman to be appointed to all the senior leadership positions that she has held in New South Wales government. In her current role as New South Wales Public Service Commissioner, Kathrina leads a workforce strategy and reform for the New South Wales Public Service. The New South Wales government employs more than 400,000 people, making it the largest employer in the Southern Hemisphere. She's also a member of the Secretaries Board, which means that she's one of the 11 most senior public servants in New South Wales. Kathrina has extensive public sector experience with both state and federal government. She has held senior executive roles within the New South Wales Department of Justice, the New South Wales Audit Office, and New South Wales Information and Privacy Commission. Kathrina has qualifications in law and economics. She is passionate about working in the public interest and is a champion of diversity and inclusion. So please let us welcome Kathrina Lowe.
The New South Wales public sector has more than 400,000 employees, which is absolutely huge. Woolworths, which I understand is the biggest private sector employer, has around 200,000 employees. So we've basically got more than double the biggest private sector employer. We've got, doctors and nurses and paramedics. We've got, police officers, firefighters, emergency service workers and prison officers. We've got train drivers and bus drivers and teachers and customer service officers. We're incredibly diverse and we provide such a broad range of services to the community, and really, really important services as well that make a difference to the way people live their lives every day. So in a nutshell, I'm responsible for public sector workforce strategy, policy and reform, and that can cover a whole range of areas. So everything from strategic workforce planning to recruitment, to the performance management and recognition systems that the sector puts in place, to diversity and inclusion, to learning and development, succession planning, mobility across the sector, and very importantly, the sector's culture, ethics and values. So we run the New South Wales Government Graduate Program, and a few weeks ago we were thrilled to be announced as the #1 graduate program in Australia. So this is the Australian Financial Review's top 100 graduate employer list, and we're #1. So I actually grew up in regional New South Wales. Until the age of 13, I lived in this little town called Coorambong, which is near a little town called Morisset, which is near Lake Macquarie. And if you travel on the freeway between Sydney and Newcastle, you might see the turn-off signs for Morisset and Coorambong. And it was a tiny town, and we were the only Asian family in the town. So we did stick out a little bit, like a sore thumb. So I actually made a really deliberate choice to work for the public service. I'm a career public servant, and I started at the lowest grade you could get. For those of you in the public service, a clerk grade 1, 2, you know that is the bottom of the ladder. And I've worked my way up the ladder. The purpose of the public service resonates with my personal purpose. And I think the values of the public service are things that are really dear to my heart, and I live and breathe them every day. And I think those public service servants on the line will know what I'm talking about. I had one of these wow moments in my career a couple of weeks ago, actually, having, I guess, started in the DPP at the lowest level possible. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter from the New South Wales Attorney General asking me to lead the recruitment of the next Director of Public Prosecutions, which kind of made me realise how far I'd come in my career from the lowest job in the public, the lowest job at the DPP, to now actually recommending to the Attorney General who the next DPP will be. So I think sometimes it's good to have those moments to reflect and think, wow, it's been quite a journey. I was incredibly fortunate that there was a secretary of that department who obviously saw some potential and gave me some opportunities, which included being the CEO of Juvenile Justice for a while, being acting New South Wales Privacy Commissioner on 2 occasions, and being acting New South Wales Information Commissioner and CEO of the Information and Privacy Commission as well. So they, those acting opportunities really allowed me to get a taste of some of these most senior leadership roles, and it was really good to have, I suppose, somebody who was basically a sponsor in a way. The Secretary of the Department went on leave and asked me to act as the Secretary of the Department of Communities and Justice. Well, it ended up being the bushfires, the worst bushfire season we have ever seen, and the department was running, 35 evacuation centres across the state. So can I say that was my first time acting as Secretary, and talk about being thrown in the deep end. But after doing that, I thought, yeah, I can do this. It's okay. I've been thrown into literally the hot seat. And it was hard, but working with that great team around me, it was doable. So I stepped into the role of Public Service Commissioner about 11 months ago. It was in the middle of lockdown. 100% of my agency staff were working from home. How much more challenging it is to build relationships in that environment. And as we're going forward, I suppose, in this more hybrid working environment, I think there are some lessons around how you bring people into a team and make them part of a team, the importance of connections, and the importance of still, from time to time, getting together physically to do that collaboration, the teamwork, and the culture building. I'm often asked about what sort of legacy I would like to leave as Public Service Commissioner, and I think one of the legacies I would like to leave is a far more diverse public service, especially at the senior leadership level. So I think as growing up in Chinese culture, you're taught from the day you're born to have a lot of respect and even deference for people who are older than you and who are in positions of authority. And, that has played out in certain ways in the workplace for me. We're certainly not taught to be assertive. And not, you're told not to rock the boat, and you're taught really to value being modest and very, very humble. And I think all of those things have played out in the workplace for me, and in some cases have worked against me, to be quite honest. I think the next thing that's really shaped me is having a partner who is a truly equal partner. And I think it's true when they say women marry their own glass ceiling, because who you choose as your partner can really impact how well you can do in the workplace. And I'm so, I guess, grateful that I have got a partner who shares the load on the home front. And I've been in many conversations where I've heard women talk about having to go home and doing the second shift at home on their own. So all the housework and looking after the kids and all of that. I'm really pleased to say that, yes, I go home and do that second shift, but I don't do it on my own. We share that load very equally, actually. So I think I was probably a little naive when I came into the workplace. I thought that hard work and being technically good would be enough, and that my good work would speak for itself. And I think I soon realised that that was not the case. And things like relationships are really important, that soft skills are really important, and that ability to read the dynamics and the politics of an organisation is really, really important, to understand that and to navigate all of that as well. I also needed to learn to flex my personal style. So I guess I brought in that cultural background, which really didn't help me in a workplace where you need to be able to be assertive, you need to have a voice, you need to be able to speak up. There's a certain, I guess, views that people have of what a leader should look like. So quite charismatic and extroverted, and I'm actually not either of those things. So I had to find a way to be authentic to me, but still flex my style to have at least some sort of presence in the workplace. So I think that, that's something I've had to do, and that doesn't mean you don't be true to yourself and you're not authentic, but it just means, I guess, for me, finding a way to speak up and be assertive, to project confidence when I wasn't always feeling it, to develop some sort of executive presence, to be able to speak about my achievements while not feeling like I was boasting about it, and to be able to let people know what my aspirations were, not to think that my work would simply speak for itself, that I would need to be able to say to people, well, I actually aspire to be a senior leader, and this is my track record, this is what I've done. I've also along the way learned that it's really important to take risks in my career, to take those left field opportunities, to get out of my comfort zone. And sometimes it's good to take some lateral moves to just expand the breadth of my experience. And I have to confess, I never had a 5-year plan. My approach was always to do the best job in the job I'm in and just grab those opportunities as they come along. And I think it's the grabbing of opportunities that's really, really important. The importance of networks. So I might break that down into mentors. So that doesn't have to be part of a formal mentoring program. It can just be people that you can go to for advice, who can give you some sort of guidance. The importance of sponsors, and sponsors are different from mentors. So sponsors are people who see your potential, who will give you opportunities, who will open the door to opportunities, and who will put your name forward to other people. And then I guess the last bit of the network, the importance of network, is to have a group of people who are your trusted advisors and supporters, people that you can go to for a second opinion. I have a group of senior women that I have breakfast with every month. I call them my girl squad, and I don't say girl in a derogatory way. We call each other, we're the girl squad. And we pump each other's tires up when any of us is going for an interview. We boost each other up, we vent to each other, we confide in each other things that we couldn't confide to other people, knowing that they remain in the code of silence. We can express our insecurities to each other, knowing that it's a really safe and supportive environment. So I think it's just really important to have a group of people that have your back. I've always tried to give frank and fearless advice, but to do that in a very diplomatic and constructive sort of way, so that I'm not just coming across as critical. I think you need to understand what's going on in an organisation. You need to understand who are the people with power, who are the people with influence in any group. That could be a leadership group, that could be a team group, to understand the dynamics, to be able to sit on the balcony and just understand what is going on. I look at diversity very, very broadly, not just the characteristics of individuals, but its experience and diversity of thinking. So there's been a lot of work around inclusive organisations and the importance of building inclusive cultures as a way to really bring out the best in people, so that people can bring their whole selves to work, that they are able to reach their full potential. I actually found the transition from sort of middle management, where I was managing a team of policy lawyers, to senior executive, the hardest leadership transition I've ever done. But you can form genuine relationships with people in the workplace and have effective relationships with people in the workplace and deal with people in good faith without playing the politics in that negative sense, I think. And look, most of us, I think, should be having regular performance conversations with our managers, so performance and development conversations. And that is one forum where you can actually talk about, what your aspirations might be, not in a really sort of naked ambition sort of way that a lot of us, I guess, from an Asian culture feel quite uncomfortable about, but you can talk about it in terms of the experiences that you might want to get, or the capabilities that you might want to acquire, or the skills you might want to acquire. So I think that's one way to approach it. This is to those of you who are from culturally diverse backgrounds. Can I say that, they say that you can't be what you don't see, or it's hard to be what you don't see. Can I ask you to make it your superpower to become what you don't see? Because somebody has to go first.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Wang, the founder of the Professional Development Forum.
PDF was established to help young diverse professionals find fulfillment in the modern Australian workplace.
By asking questions to the most successful, influential and inspirational people we knew. We were inspired by their stories of tenacity and passion.
We learned about the creative approaches to overcome challenges.
We believe that everyone, not just the elite few, should have access to the knowledge, mindset, and network to develop themselves.
By becoming the best version of ourselves, we lead a happier, more fulfilling life and inspire those around us to do the same.
Moving our events online has made us more accessible than ever. We share what we learned on our website, YouTube channel, and podcast. So please share this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell. We look forward to seeing you at an upcoming event.